The CZ Shadow 2, what an awesome pistol. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to completely disassemble the CZ Shadow 2. Now let's get started. One of the first questions that I'm asked by new CZ owners is how to remove the slide. Well, the first thing you want to do is line up the two marks, one on the slide, one on the frame, as you can see in the video here. After you line those two marks up, flip the slide over where you can see the slide release. Depress the slide release with a plastic screwdriver handle or whatever. And then while still keeping those marks lined up, you're going to pull the slide release out of the pistol. Once you have the slide release pulled out of the pistol, you're going to leave the hammer cocked to the rear. You're going to pull the trigger and hold it to the rear, and then slide the slide off of the frame. And once you have the slide off of the frame, put the frame to the side, and then take your slide. Now we're going to take the guide rod out, push it toward the muzzle, lift up and pull it out with the barrel. Lift the barrel straight up and pull the barrel out as well. Now we've got our barrel out of the pistol. We'll put it to the side. And now we're going to remove our firing pin stop, firing pin, and firing pin spring. Now if you notice with this slide, there was not any type of firing pin safety in it. The Shadow 2 does not have a firing pin safety, you can see there. So now we're going to depress our firing pin. We're going to push the firing pin stop down, take it off, set it to the side. Now we're going to take our firing pin and our firing pin spring out of the slide. If the spring doesn't come out, you can use the tip of the firing pin to pull the spring out. Now we're going to set those parts to the side. And one thing we're not going to remove in this pistol is the extractor assembly. The extractor assembly is staked in place, as you can see here on the bottom. We're going to leave that in place. There's no need for us to remove that in this video. Next we're going to remove the manual thumb safety on the frame. The first thing we're going to do is take a small screwdriver and we're going to lift up on this little spring. That's your sear spring. Once you have that spring lifted up, we're going to push the safety from right to left until we get a little gap, as you can see there. We're going to grab the safety on the left side and we're going to wiggle it just a little bit so it traps the spring and keeps the spring on top of the safety. Now we're going to take our small screwdriver and we're going to pry to the left to create a little gap. Put your thumb on top of the sear cage to keep any parts from flying out of the pistol, and we're going to pull the sear cage and the safety out of the pistol. Next we've got some small parts to remove. This is the safety detent and spring. This helps hold the safety in place, so we're going to remove that. And then on this side we have the retainer that holds the arm of the safety on the right side in place, and we'll remove those two parts as well. First, we're going to take the spring and detent out to hold the safety in. And they just pop out. As you can see, I just touched them with the screwdriver and out they came. You have to be careful not to lose these small parts. There's your spring and your detent. Spring and your detent. We'll put those to the side for now. Now we're going to remove the safety. Now we're going to remove the ambi safety arm on the right side, as well as the detent that holds those in place. The detent's pretty simple to remove. It's a lot more difficult to video it and remove it than it is to just take it out. But we'll pop that lever out. Then we'll pull our lever up to 12 o'clock and it just pulls out of the frame. We've got those parts out and we'll set them to the side. Now I'll show you the detent in here a little more detail. We slid it back enough where we could get the safety out. Now you can see the little detent. It's kind of rocking back and forth there. Just moving it around, make it easy for you guys to see where it is and where it goes in the frame. Now we'll slip it back just a little and we'll pop the detent out with our screwdriver. Out it comes. Let me show you guys what it looks like here. And that is the detent that holds the safety arm on the right side of the frame. Next we're going to remove the grips. Pretty simple and straightforward. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Unscrew the little screw. Pop these awesome aluminum anodized grip panels off. We'll set both of those to the side. Both panels need to come off the right side and the left side. because there's some internals inside the frame that you just can't get to without taking both of the grips off. So now we have those off, they're set to the side. Next, we're going to remove the magazine guide. There's a small 1mm 1/16 roll pin or 1/16 solid pin at the top. We're just going to push that out. There's your little solid pin. We'll put it to the side. Next, we're going to remove the magazine guide. And if you noticed in that, the hook at the top was facing inward, and then it just slips in a slot in the bottom of the frame. So we'll pull that out, set it to the side. And now we're going to remove our mainspring and our mainspring retaining pin. We'll just press in on the little cap on the bottom and then push the pin straight out. Pin comes out really easily. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort. Next, we'll remove the hammer strut spring plug, the mainspring, set those parts to the side. All right, now that we've got our mainspring removed, we're going to take out the hammer pivot pin detent and then the hammer pivot pin. So first, the hammer pivot pin detent, just push it up. We're going to tip the frame up. There's a little view here where you can see where the pin is, where it comes out the top right there. Now we're going to turn the frame upside down, give it a little tap. Sometimes it'll fall out, sometimes it's got some grease on it and it won't. So we'll take a little small punch and just give it a little push, boop, out it comes. And here's our hammer pivot pin detent, and we'll put that one to the side. And now we're going to remove our hammer pivot pin itself. This pin's going to remove from right to left. It does have a flanged head on it. Just give it a little push, out it comes. Here's the pin. And you can see the little flared head that retains it on the left side of the frame. Now we can pull out our hammer assembly, which includes our hammer, our disconnector, and our hammer strut. We'll put those pieces to the side. And here's our frame. Now it's time to remove the trigger assembly. We've got our handy dandy blue bench block that's been used quite a lot. We'll set our frame down, get our small punch, and we're just going to lightly tap on the trigger pin till it starts to drive out. You can see the pins coming out here. The head on the pin is flared on both the right side and the left side. That helps hold it in place so it doesn't walk out. We're replacing this pin, so it doesn't matter if we mess the flare up on it. We're going back with a solid pin. Give it a couple of good whacks to push it the rest of the way out. And now we have our trigger pin is removed. You can see the flared head there and where it flattened the flare on that side. We'll put that to the side and put it in our spare parts bag. Now you can see our trigger return spring. Just kind of show a little detail here how it goes in the pistol. Make sure you take note of this. This is important because the spring will only go back in the pistol one way, and this is the way it has to be. Long spring goes on top, short spring faces down and presses against the back side of the trigger. So we're going to pull our punch out, kind of trap the spring so it doesn't go flying. We'll just push up on the trigger a little bit where we can get a hold of everything. And you can see the spring here, how it orients on the trigger itself. We'll pull that out. See the short leg there, long leg there, and we'll set that to the side. Now we'll pull the trigger assembly out. And this is our trigger bar, and the little connecting pin that holds the two together. So now we're going to remove the pin from the trigger and the trigger bar and separate those two parts, as we're not going to be using this trigger. We're going to replace this trigger shoe with a different trigger that has a pre-travel and an over-travel adjustment. Just a little push on that pin, pull it straight out. It's not staked in or anything, so it comes out relatively easily. So we've got that out, and there's our OEM shoe with just an over-travel adjustment. We're going to put that to the side as we're not reusing that. And this is our trigger bar. Now with this trigger bar, you can polish it if you want to or not. I've done them both ways. I really can't tell a difference one way or the other. So now we've got our hammer, our hammer assembly that came out of the pistol originally. The only part off of this that we're going to use or reuse is going to be the hammer strut. So we're just going to give this pin a little tap, get it moving in the right direction, and take our smaller punch, and we're just going to drive that pin the rest of the way out. Got that out. Separate the parts. We'll put that hammer and disconnector to the side, and we'll hang on to that hammer strut as we are going to be reusing that part. And there's the pin that came out. I always like to keep these little small parts so I've got spares. In case a part breaks or I lose it, then I have some spare parts that I can go back to. Stay tuned for part 2 of this video series, Installing the Cajun Gun Works Fire Control Group. Thanks for watching, guys, and God bless you.